Welcome, growth seekers and freedom fighters, to the Grow to Be Free podcast. I'm your host, Kiani Williams, and it is my goal to help you reach your fullest potential through listening to the stories of real women who have broken through a new level of life. And so listen in and take notes, because you're going to learn so many practical and tangible tips to help you grow to your fullest potential in business and in life. So let's get to it. All right, everybody, welcome to the Grow to Be Free podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I'm so excited because I'm going to introduce to you Miss Kellina Powell. Kellina is an entrepreneur, YouTuber, and influencer who loves to help people with their personal growth and educate others about the deaf community. Little do people know, Kellina is actually hard of hearing, so she became deaf at the age of 4, and she recently graduated with a psychology degree and is now starting her own online coaching business while finishing working on her book. And so the title of this episode is called The Mindset of a Deaf Queen, because Kellina has such an amazing mindset and she has an incredible story that I'm excited to share with you all today. So I'll pass it over to Kellina to introduce herself.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I'm super happy to be here. Yeah, so I am the Deaf Queen Boss for the deaf community, and I am deaf person. I am a deaf person. People be like, whoa, what? Oh yeah, I know. And so my story literally started when I became deaf at the age of 4. It all started when I actually had an ear infection. And that day, my doctor prescribed me like an eardrop. The eardrop were really strong prescription. The daycare didn't either, one, put it on time, two, or give it to me at the wrong timing, or give it too much. And so that day when I went to the daycare, they gave it to me. And then that same day when I went home, crazy story ever, I became deaf when I got home. I was in front of the TV, and my mom called me. She's like, Kellina, and I couldn't hear her at all. She came, tapped my shoulder. When I tell you, I jump. And my mom said, hello? And I said, And she was just, and my mom was a young mom too. So she was lost and furious. She was like, oh my God, and I'm her third child. So can you imagine somebody young, third child? They went crazy. My mom went crazy. Luckily, my grandma is actually a nurse. Thank God. And my mom calls my grandma, said, Kellina can't hear me. What am I supposed to do? My grandma thought I was joking, everything. And my grandma rushed home from the hospital. And my grandma was testing me, seeing what was going on. She realized that I couldn't hear her. So the next day, I went to my family doctor to figure out what was going on. My family doctor said, we can't do anything. Kellina is completely deaf. And that day, I remember it like it was yesterday. And I was confused what was going on. I was confused where I was going because I had to schedule for another audiologist. And it was just confusing. And that's when I went to go see the audiologist probably the next day, not just a few days, the next day. The fact that I was seeing so many doctors back to back, I was so lost, so confused. I'm like, what's going on? I was thinking something's wrong with me. I thought, I was just like, I was questioning myself too much when I was young. For me, being 4 is kind of a lot.
Right. Yeah, that's like the age where you're young enough not to really understand what's going on, but you're conscious enough to realize that something is wrong. So that's really amazing that you remember it in that much detail.
Yeah, and honestly, it was just like my life just ended. Like, like if something was happening to you very like dramatically, you will always remember it. Everybody had that memory, at least a very few people. But for me, when something dramatic happened to me, I remember every detail. I don't know why, it just always happened.
Wow. Yeah. And so do you remember feeling at that time, did you feel a lot of sadness? Did you feel a lot of anger, or did you feel a lot of worry, or a mixture of all of it?
I think I was mixed up all over it, because that one word I would say, I was so confused.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Especially being 4. It's like, how could you actually understand what's going on, and you can't hear what's happening either?
No, I couldn't hear anything at all. Like, nothing.
Yeah. That's interesting because, okay, when you can't hear something, do you feel like Do you feel like you are more attentive to your thoughts? Like, do you feel like you're more like inside of yourself? Yes.
Yeah, I feel like that when I noticed that myself getting older, I realized I've been talking to myself more when I take out my hearing, but not in a bad way, but in a good way. And I'm more deep into my thoughts than I ever been. And I think that's why I like to take out my hearing aids a lot. I think that's why.
Really? Wow. Do you like to do that so that way you can get some time alone with yourself?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot, especially in the morning.
That's amazing. I really love that. So do you typically sleep with it in and then you take it off when you...
No, I actually can't sleep it in because I can break the hearing aids like that, so I have to take it off.
Gotcha. So this is I don't know if this is a dumb question or not, but how do you wake up in the morning?
So I have an alarm. I either use my Apple Watch to wake me up in the morning, or I put my phone vibration, but it's not healthy for your body. But I mean, I have to do it in the morning. Or somebody can wake me up in the morning, like my little sister, my mom, if they need something. But I work overnight shift, so I'm always awake sometimes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. Oh, this is awesome. I love the idea that you take some time to like be within yourself and you think within yourself. Do you feel like that has made you more of a self-aware person?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It all started when I was at the age of 20. So.
Oh, awesome. Tell me a little bit more about that. How did you start realizing the benefits of your noticing your thoughts and talking to yourself?
I noticed it when I was super stressed out and overwhelmed in university. And it was my first year. I'm the first generation of my family to go to university. They couldn't relate to my situation, the struggle with school. And I was working at the time. And I realized that if I don't learn how to take care of myself, I really gotta, I can't take care of myself, I won't be able to be successful. And I realized that I was looking for ways to do it, but I couldn't find it. And then one day, I don't know who told me, my brain was telling me to take up your hand and to shut up. And I said, okay. So I did that. And I did it for like probably 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, this thing actually works. And then I kept doing it. And I kept doing it, especially when I'm really overwhelmed with things, stressed out with things. Because having a disability, we carry a huge package of mental health in us. Because it's very weird topic that a lot of us talk about. And I guess because I never had that conversation with anybody about it. So I think it made me have to work on it within myself instead of finding somebody to speak with.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really amazing because I notice you do talk about self-development a lot, and you and me are kind of the same. We're very ambitious go-getters. I can tell that about you. You have a lot of big goals and dreams, and you're right. When you want to be successful, you really do need to learn how to take care of yourself, because if you experience burnout or if you experience overwhelming amount of stress, it's going to be very tough to continue to keep going and to progress and get better. So that's so good. So aside from, self-awareness, what else have you implemented into your life to help you manage your stress or, get into a place where you can start being successful?
I would say time management is number one thing that a lot of us really don't pay attention to, because that is super number one thing I always tell people. You really have to take up your time. Your time is very, very, very important. Especially if you are somebody who has, especially if you're someone who is an entrepreneur and you have so many things going on all at one time, you really need to buckle down that time management, what to focus on, and break down your calendar. So that's, for me, that's what I do. I literally focus on my time management, break it down every single day. I get a piece of paper, write it down. What am I focused on for today? Am I going to work on my schoolwork? Am I going to focus on a project that's coming up? Or am I going to focus on attracting client, or am I going to focus on trying to, uplift my Instagram? So that is something where I do to upgrade my self-esteem and my self-awareness by just breaking down things. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize when you write things down, you actually do the work versus typing on the computer. And I feel like when you write it down, you actually really think about it and you put it up somewhere and you're like, oh yeah, I have to cross this out. I feel like because a phone is just a device that we rely on it, but if you see it visually, the more you would get it done.
So true. Yeah, I agree with that. I have a couple whiteboards around my room, and I love just writing stuff on those because it's satisfying to write it down, but also like satisfying to like wipe it off the board and, you know, it's there right in front of you. So I agree. That's awesome. Yeah, you said something about your self-esteem. And so I'm really interested in how you started to build self-esteem for yourself. I feel like in general, being a teenager just in general is very tough to start to build self-confidence and self-esteem, but you did it with a disability. So tell us more about how you learned how to build self-confidence.
I would say it really took me years. I always tell people it's never easy, man. For me, it's never really something that is easy. I would say for me, how I actually started it, I just continue talking to myself. I continue dreaming big. I realized that if I want to have this big dream, I really need to work on myself in order to have that. And it's really important to do that because I realized if I don't do that, there's so many barriers that's going to come in the way. And so what I did is actually I watched a lot of motivational videos, movies, and a lot of shows that talked about disability, and seeing these actors and watching them overcome the self-esteem. I feel like I learned from that movie perspective and I take it on to my own personal life. And I learned, I'm like, how can I do this better? How can I do this better? Okay, yeah, I remember this show. Maybe this strategy will help me with this. So I learned from other people, especially music videos or like movies or YouTube or even books too. Books is really my number one to go to.
Ooh, books. What are your favorite books?
Oh, God. My favorite book is this What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Chad Albrechter.
Ooh. Oh, I haven't heard of that one, but that looks like a really good one.
It's a really good book. Like, it talks about all self-esteem, things to say to yourself every day. It definitely gave me a lot of tips and something that I would recommend a lot of people to read. Especially, it talks about a lot of positive self-talk, not so much about negative self-talk. So it definitely talks about realistic stuff. It's not like just a book that's like, bleh. It's actually realistic things.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel like there's a lot of people out there who might think like personal growth and self-development is really like too cheesy and like, you know, stuff that is just like out there. But a lot of people actually don't realize that this stuff is very simple and easy to do on your own.
100% agree.
Yeah. So for you, I know, you know, partially being deaf is what you know, motivated you and your big goals and dreams to start like working on yourself and jumping into self-development. But, you know, what would you recommend for somebody who is really just kind of down in the dumps with where they're at in their situation, whatever it might be? And how could they start to really positively start changing their life around? What advice would you give?
The first thing I would get is, what is your purpose? What is your goal? I feel like when you talk to people about the goal first, they will have more motivation, more positive talk you see outside of them. And then you break it down from there and be like, okay, if that's your goal, you know, you have to do this in order to get that. You know, kind of talk to them. And, you know, and then for them, I feel like they'll realize like, oh, even if they said, I can't do it, it's going to be too much work or it's going to take longer than expected. I always tell them, remember, all these successful people, they all start from the bottom. We never get up there. Unless they come from a millionaire family, like Kylie Jenner, who got lucky, right? So I always tell them that. And I said, look at Amazon, for example. This guy started Amazon in 1960-something. And until, 2020, since COVID started, he got a million, triple million. That's insane. It's like, for me, I would have given up already, but then that's when and then they'll start to realize, they're like, oh, wow, yeah, you're right. Like, that's true. And I'm like, if you think about it, we all could have give up already. You know, like, I would have given up in like 5 years. And I'm like, you know what? Do this. I make up another project. And that's something I would definitely recommend, especially if you are going through like work or relationship issues or anything like that. I would highly recommend a lot of people to find a right coach or a therapist that suits for them. I know a lot of times people just go out there and just look for one because they need one. And they don't realize that they need to find one that fits for them, not just because that one person's going through it and then they should go. Like, no, everybody coach and therapist is different for everybody. So I highly recommend a lot of people to find one.
Yes, that is a good point. You definitely need somebody outside of yourself to help give you feedback, to help lead you and ask you the right questions, because we don't always have the right questions for ourselves. And so I can tell that you've gotten really good at asking yourself good questions, because you're reading that book and you also spend a lot of time on, in your own thoughts. So what are some of like the best questions that you ask yourself to help you move forward towards your goals?
I would just say that tomorrow is not a promise, because you never know when it's your time to go home. I lost two very important people in my life. One person was my godfather. He actually passed away in a motorcycle on my way to my house. So that's when I realized, knock on wood, that was truly a really good message for me to know that tomorrow is not a promise, because I actually drive. I have a car myself. So who knows what tomorrow comes for me. I could have died in a car accident tomorrow. I've already been to a car accident before. So right there makes me think like tomorrow's not a promise. You just have to make the best out of your life in one day alone. You just never know when the time comes. You never know when you're going to be in the middle of a trouble at the wrong time. You just never know. And that is something I tell myself every day, to keep going, keep pushing my goals, and keep meeting people, and
Hey, popping in here to let you know that growtobefree.com is now live. It's a gorgeous website, so please be sure to check it out right now and give me feedback. The website will allow you to email me, watch any of the episodes, and access our tools and resources. And that leads me to another exciting announcement. Our first tool is the Ambitious Peace Journals. These are for all you ambitious ladies who journal to keep your inner peace, the entrepreneurial gals like myself who have 1 million brilliant ideas, and for the young lady in school to take notes on. And they're smaller in size so they can fit in a standard purse and have modern trendy designs on the cover. Inside, they're college ruled with enough space to free write, doodle, and take notes. The special thing about them is that I hand selected 300 inspirational, motivational, and encouraging quotes to go on every single page, some of which are uniquely taken from the episodes of this podcast. So you can pre-order yours for 20% off at growtobefree.com. Just pop over to the Tools tab and place your order for the style or styles that you like most. The 20% off pre-sale ends August 6th, so jump in there before the prices go up. And again, thank you so much for your support. Back to the episode.
So true. I'm the same exact way. It's weird to have death on your mind so often, but I feel like it's a very good motivator to get you to start doing things that you actually want to do in life.
Exactly.
And so I kind of want to shift gears a little bit. I saw in one of your videos that you were saying that you had to learn how to advocate for yourself, in school, because there were some teachers who didn't quite understand your disability, and also probably some students that also didn't as well. And so can you talk a little bit about how you learned how to advocate for yourself in those situations, and how you started to speak up more?
Ooh, school was hard. I always tell everybody that school was super hard. I had no idea how to start it. Honestly and truly, my family had to come to the school. I didn't know how to advocate for myself in high school, because I'm just a kid that don't know what the real world looked like after high school. I didn't know what it was. It's not like I had a job. I really didn't in high school. My family did not want me to work at all. And so honestly, my family came into the school. They actually went crazy at the principal and the guardian counselor, saying, "Why are you telling Kellina that she can't do this? That's just not what I said for her to do. I told her to go to university. Why are you telling her some next story?" And my family got devastated, and they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing it. And then that one day I realized, okay, enough is enough. It's time for me to cock up now. That's when I spoke to my guardian counselor. I sit down with her and I said, "Listen," I literally said this to her, and I said, "I am tired of my family coming to you and you're not listening to me. What is your job? And I totally told her that. And she literally shut up. And she said, you know what? You're right. I have no right control of your life. And right there, after I got what I wanted. And I said to her, I'm going to tell you something. There are other kids out there who are either immigrants or either have a disability. We all work 10 times harder than all the other students. That's not fair for you to kind of put more things on our shoulder where we're really trying to push forward. And it's not fair. And that's when I started advocating for myself, when I got what I wanted. And I got the school that I wanted to get into. I got it. I got in. And after high school, when I got into university, things were super great. My guiding counselor in university encouraged me to talk up a lot. And I did that. And then one of the professor who was super white and challenging, and I went up to him, and then he was actually a deaf person too.
Wow.
It was really crazy. I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, no. And then we were just having conversation, and right there, that alone, that having connection with that one professor taught me that you can achieve anything you want. And he fully told me, keep going, keep talking. But it's really needed, and it's really encouraging more students to come and talk to the professor because it's super important. So that's actually when I started advocating for myself there. And the second thing, I was working at a big water park, and a little boy approached me, and because my hearing aid was showing, my hair was in the ponytail, and he's like, "Oh, like Miss, I'm wearing a hearing aid too," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" No, wait, because I thought he was lost, and then he's like, "No, I'm just telling you, I'm deaf too." Aww. And his mom came. She wasn't crying, but she was full of joy, and she was like, "Oh my God, since you did that little thing for my son, you're going to make a world changing for the disability community." And right there, I knew I had to keep going.
That's so inspiring. I'm getting like emotional because that's so big. I feel like I can only imagine like how you felt in that moment when you not only were you inspired by somebody, but you also had the chance to inspire somebody as well. And so it totally makes sense why you're so active in the deaf community. And it's amazing what you do, spreading awareness and also educating people on this particular disability and disabilities in general. And so I know there's some big like misconceptions about people with a disability. Sorry, my voice. And then also, you know, how to treat people as well. And so what are some big tips that you can give somebody without a disability on how to support somebody in pursuit of their goals and dreams with a disability?
I would say number one thing is don't say, oh my God. That's number one. A lot of people tend to say that, and a lot of us disability community don't like that because it's like you basically are shocked that we have a disability. So try and stay positive about that. Just be really mindful. Be like, oh, I'm not aware of your disability. How can I help you? That's an amazing way to approach someone. Second thing is don't ask too much questions about the disability because some things are personal, and some people don't like to talk too much about it. Everybody's different. Third thing is ask them normal questions like, hey, what's your favorite thing to do? What can we do for fun? How can I help you with something? Or is there anything I can do to support you? Or anything like that is definitely highly recommended. I know it can be difficult to talk to someone that has a disability. I'm not going to lie to anybody. It can be hard. But you just have to remember that we've been through so much in our own life already that sometimes we can't take it so much onto another person. But we're a very sensitive community, and I feel like we're so used to being ourselves and not having someone to support us because of all the things that we've been through in our own life. So that I want people to keep that in mind as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, you know, I've heard you say also that it's really important to just treat that person like a normal person, you know, just like how you would treat anybody else. That's the way to go.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Okay, so that's helpful. What would you say has been the most rewarding part of sharing this education with the world?
The rewarding part, I would say, is that I've been able to interact with people on Clubhouse and teaching it. And people didn't realize that they're actually a deaf person on audio app. So it's really rewarding to meet so many people, especially celebrities or high influencer ECO, like teaching them about it. And they're like, I never met someone, so it was such a rewarding for me to take the opportunity and teach them how to be inclusive for the deaf community, especially taking it off to Clubhouse and showing them how to use closed caption. I remember 2 days ago, a client of mine, she came approached to me and she said she liked the person's Instagram. The person's Instagram was not closed caption. So I said, okay, no problem. I'll reach out to the person. Not a problem. I reached out to the person. I didn't think the person would reply, but she did. And I said, hey, like, a friend of mine just noticed that your closed caption is not on. She's hard of hearing. I'm a hard of hearing person too. I can see it on my own. And little did I knew, 2 days later, she posted closed caption. She reposted everything. She tagged me in. She thanked me so much. She didn't realize that she had a deaf followers that was following her. And to me, she got more following, and that was something important. I was able to help 2 people all at once. One person to get what she needed, second person teaching them, and then they got more followers. So,
wow.
Yeah, that was something I was not expecting. I was like, wow.
That's really awesome. And that is a really cool story because, yeah, I think a lot of people just flat out aren't aware, right? I'm guilty of it too. Just, really wasn't aware of the fact of like, oh, okay, if I post this story, like who can actually listen to it? Not everybody. So that I love that Instagram has now done the captions. They're making it easier to do captions, and we're on Zoom with captions, which is just incredible. Have you seen since the pandemic just so many more accessibility features being implemented?
Yeah, I feel like pandemic, I think people start to realize more about the disability awareness. I feel like the pandemic actually really taught a lot of people a lot of things than they ever thought of.
Yes. And it's thanks to you, people like you who actually speak up. I love that you're speaking up about this and you're sharing your story with the world, which is so huge. And I feel like there are so many like pieces of value that you can still give to people. And what other pieces of advice would you give somebody, maybe if they do have a disability and they're more quiet about it? Like how could you inspire that person?
I would inspire that person by saying that you do have a voice. There is going to be someone out there that's looking up to you. You just never know. But let me tell you something. If you do make that video online, who knows? You could be the next Beyonce, Cardi B, or anything like that. You can be the next one. And trust me, social media will go crazy. It's COVID. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. I'm taking advantage of it. So can you. We can all make a team together and create a whole organization. We could do anything.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love how inspirational you are.
Thank you.
I feel like that's a good place to stop. But I do have one more question, and I guess how I want to word this is like, what insights can you give about the deaf community and in regards to mental health? I feel like mental health is one thing, but I feel like either the deaf community or just people with disabilities, it could be heightened a little bit more. So what kind of insight can you give in that respect?
Say that it's very high in the disability, like I mentioned before, that a lot of people don't really talk about it in the disability community. And another thing I would say that there's so much lack of information on mental health alone. And not a lot of people are not aware of it. And it's just kind of sad that it's not talked about a lot of times. Not just in the disability community, but as a whole. Especially even doctors. Even when I go to a doctor and they don't ask questions about like your philosophical test or anything like that. And it's just kind of like, you're a doctor. How come you're not talking about it? And that's when I'm starting to realize that people are quiet about it. And it's just kind of saying that people should be ashamed that they have a mental health. And, I always tell the deaf community that we, not just us, but how the disability as a whole, we need to keep talking about disability because a lot of us can be shut down. A lot of us don't have any place to look up to. And I just want to let people know that the deaf community is a very, very big community than you expected. And I know a lot of people think, oh, it's just a small. No. It's big. If you watch that show called Swish Up Birth, my favorite show, I think you guys get this show too. You see how big that school was with the deaf school? It's insane. I was like, oh my God, I never knew there was that much deaf people. To be honest, I never met anybody that does stuff. So I would say that the deaf community is a very sensitive community. Just be careful what you say because we can really take things offended. I feel like that's everybody, but
and that's a good point as well. And I'm really glad that you're speaking up about it. And I'm really happy that mental health is becoming more of a wider known topic, and more people are getting more comfortable talking about it, which I think is so huge. There's so much more work to be done, of course, but it's like step by step, little by little, and that's why we're here for sure. And so a follow-up question to that, you said there are some offensive things that people can say. I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but what are some things that you should really stay away from when talking to somebody who's deaf?
Good question. Number one, I always tell people, do not say hearing impaired. I hear that a lot on Clubhouse, and I have to catch so many people, and I said, don't say that. Because what you're saying is dumb. We are dumb and deaf. No, wait, yeah, dumb and deaf, or deaf and dumb, or something like that. And so I always tell people, don't say hearing impaired, because that's what you're telling us. We're dumb and deaf. A lot of people didn't know that either. Like, wait, what? That's not what we meant. I'm like, I know. So what? For us, that's what we think it is. The second thing is, too, I want people to know that not every deaf person knows sign language like myself. I don't know any sign language very well. I know a basic, but not so much. Third thing, don't yell. A lot of people tend to do that sometimes. Don't yell. Don't yell. If someone's fighting, can you please repeat that again? Just repeat it very slow and very clear. Soft sound. You don't need to yell. We never asked you to yell, honey. Just repeat it slowly and clear. And I just want people to know the first thing is we deaf community, we are heavy on lip reading. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of time we are trying to finish the sentence. So if we can't see your lips, we will miss few of the words in the sentence. So that's why we tend to say pardon a lot of time. And for me, I'm a heavy lip reader too. I rely a lot on lips a lot of time. Sometimes I do rely on captions depending on who it is and who's speaking. And just be really mindful of your voice and your tone. Like for me, for example, I tend to talk fast because I am from June. I have a Caribbean island background. So for those who know, island people talk really fast. So that's where I get it from. I'm so sorry. But, we all talk fast. So yeah, so just slow down when you're talking.
Awesome. I love those tips. I think, some of those, it seems like common sense, but at the same time, sometimes you get in the moment, you're like, I don't know what to do. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do I repeat myself again? Like, a lot of people always ask me, like, how do I repeat myself again, Kellina? Like, I'm like, just talk slower. That's it. And then they'll get it. And if they don't get it, do not say never mind. That's the number one thing a lot of us hate so much. I know some of my friends do that by sometimes, but they don't mean it. Like, okay, never mind, I'll tell you after. But for us, it's really rude and disrespectful if you ever told a deaf person never mind, we'll tell you later.
I can see how you would feel with that. I get upset with that, and I can hear, so I totally get that. This might be a silly question, but, since you can be very good at lip reading, do you ever find yourself like across the room from somebody and you're like, I know what they're saying, and you can like basically know what their conversation is without?
Yeah, sometimes. I remember, who was it? I don't know. I think I was at work, and I heard someone like having a conversation like far distant, and I could see because of my glasses. And then I didn't hear everything, but because they were moving the lips so much, and I'm like, oh, they're talking crap about the boss. It was so funny. I didn't say anything, and then they turned their body, and I guess because they found out I could read lips, so they're like, oh, shit, clean it. It was so funny. Yeah, it was really funny. And if someone calling me or shouting out across the room, like, oh, if they're calling my name, I can hear them. But if they're having like, yo, da 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 da, no, I'm not gonna know what you're saying.
Yeah, so no, yo, none of that.
I can't hear you. Come here.
That's funny. Okay, there's another thing too that I'm very aware of body language, and what have you learned about body language that has given you some insights about people?
When someone's smiling, the body posture. I feel like the body posture is very number one thing for me. So if I see you like kind of like they're moving their shoulders so much, and some people don't realize their shoulder moves so much. And that's for me, it's like, okay, this person getting ignorant, or this person interested, or not. And especially the voice tone and the face expression. I always like having them face expression. I feel like that would definitely help me, number one. Also, to body posture, too. But I would say definitely the face expression. That's what I can tell.
Mm-hmm. So when somebody has like a straight face and they're like just not giving you like any sort of
intention, nothing. I'd be like, okay, bye.
Like, I'm gonna just end this conversation right here. We can't be friends.
I'm like, bye. And people like, why would you need to? I'm like, no, you are not interested. Don't lie to me. Your face expression tells everything.
I love that. Oh, that's awesome. Well, okay, awesome. Well, I that pretty much wraps up all the questions that I have. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners? Where can they find you on Instagram, or where can they get your coaching services? Tell us anything about you.
Of course. I would say my one thing I would love to tell everyone is do not be afraid to be friends with someone who have a disability. We're very cool people. Remember to treat us like normal person. We will help you whatever you need. We're all here. We are very cool people. Second thing is I have a book coming up, which is very interesting. So my book is going to be mixed with poetry and biography about myself in the hearing community. So what it's like to be deaf in the hearing community. That's something I'm going to be talking about on my book. And I do have coaching services. So I have individual, family, and couple services. And those are the three things I have offering. You're more than welcome to find me on my website, KellinaEmpowerment.com. Or you can find me on my Instagram, Deaf Queen Boss. A lot of people find it easier to find me on Instagram, and they would just send me a DM, and then I would send it from there. And yeah, just find me on my Instagram. Everything is all there. And also, too, my YouTube channel. I know I have been slacking a little bit with it, but I'm definitely going to be back up on it. I promise. But don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Deaf Queen Boss.
Yay, awesome. Okay, well, definitely go and check her out. Give her a follow on Instagram so you can see exactly when her book drops. Do you have a timeline on that yet?
Winter time. That's my timeline. I don't have a exact date, but winter, I promise.
Okay. What's the title of the book?
The title of the book is Every Day I Am Just Deaf.
Every Day I'm Just That.
Deaf.
Oh, I'm just deaf. Okay. Got it. All right. Well, I will remember that. I'll put that in the show notes and link all of your website and your Instagram. So check her out. Give Kellina a follow. And before we end the episode, I want to go ahead and pray for you because I'm a person of faith, if you would allow me.
Oh, my God. That's good.
So cute. All right. We're going to bow our heads. So, dear Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this day, Lord God. Thank you so much for Kellina and her faithfulness. Thank you for her bright light and just who she is as a person. She has an amazing effect on people just to bring out the best in them. And I can tell that she has done her faithful work in educating people on the deaf community and how to properly treat your children. And I thank you so much that you have inspired her to help more people in all the various ways that you've gifted her in. And I pray that you will continue to pour into her just the right amount of resources, the right people, and overflow with opportunities and financial wellness. I pray that her business and her book will take off instantaneously and she'll be able to reach the masses with everything that she is doing. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Oh, that was lovely prayer. Oh my God, you're making me tear. Oh.
I love it.
Thank you so much for listening. If you liked the episode, it would mean so much to me if you shared it with a friend you feel like needs to hear it, because everyone deserves to experience growth and freedom. And as for you, I would love to get to know you and hear your feedback on the podcast. So I invite you to reach out to me on Instagram at growingtobekiani or on the Grow to Be Free podcast Facebook page. And if you're looking for community and connection, join the Grow to Be Free Club on Clubhouse. Until next time, see you soon.